So good people, how you doing? Welcome to Bikeman Chronicles. This is a channel guaranteeing you an alluring motorcycle experience. Today, we're going to discuss drivetrains. While surfing the internet or talking to your friends about cars, you've probably heard of the topics drive 4x4s, all-wheel drive, or AWD, or even seen behind cars, AWD, especially around Subarus and Audis. You've seen rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, and the likes. But you ever stop to ask yourself what these things actually mean? So we're going to discuss that thing today. So what is a drivetrain? First definition of a drivetrain is it's a system that transfers power from the engine to the wheels, creating movement. Power has to be generated at the engine level, the gearbox, and then it's transferred to the wheels. A drivetrain comprises different components: an engine, a transmission, a drive shaft, a differential, and axles, rear and front axles. You've heard these things, huh? So why is it that a drivetrain is important? A drivetrain is very important because it tells us the vehicle's efficiency. When it comes to transmitting power, handling, it tells us also the fuel economy and overall performance. There are different types of drivetrains, and these drivetrains are usually suited for different types of driving. There are cars for speed, cars for off-roading, and cars good for fuel economy. An example of this is, like, say, Formula One cars. These are cars for performance. The 911 turbos, the 911 turbos, those Porsche and the likes. Most performance or Formula One performance oriented cars have a rear wheel drive. They have a rear wheel bias because power is transmitted to the wheels, and it's easier to maximize acceleration when power is coming from the rear, and handling is easier because you don't want too much power on your front, because that's where you're not handling. You want it on the back so that it can be pulling you forward. You get. Another one is the Toyota Corolla. The Toyota Corolla has a front-wheel drive. This is where power starts from the front, and then it's transmitted back to the rear wheels. So it's fast. It has a rear wheel for forward wheel bias, where power from the engine goes to the front tires and then to the back tires. The front tires sort of pull the back tires. It's like a push cut of some sort. This is obviously good for cars that whose customers want ease in driving, are interested in fuel economy, especially in city conditions. Most of the Toyota Corollas you see there for town drives, they're not for long drives across the country or something of that sort. In the other segment, we're going to discuss the drivetrain types. So basically, now we're now delving into the real drivetrain types. So the first one is a front wheel drive. How this thing works is that it sends power to the front wheels only, and then the front wheels will obviously pull the rear wheels. You see how that happens? It's the transmission and the differential are combined into a single unit called a transaxle. Some of the main advantages of this is that the car is usually lighter and cheaper to manufacture. You've seen most Toyota Corollas with this particular characteristic. They're very fuel efficient, so they use low amounts of fuel. You can do 10, 12, 14, even 15 kilometers per liter. See, that's very fuel efficient. So it gives traction in snow or rain due to the engine weight over the front wheels. It gives traction. One of the disadvantages to this is the torque steer, basically. Sudden pulling of one side during hard acceleration. You see, the way like a car loses power and starts to veer off the main whatever sort of thing. So there's this kind of experience. You also experience this when it comes to cars with front wheel drive sort of drivetrain. The other thing is, it's not ideal for high performance due to the weight distribution. The weight distribution is not equal. Very well that in performance cars, weight is a major factor because the power to weight ratio and obviously the aerodynamic drag, or yeah, basically that contributes towards to ensuring the car is efficient or fast. In rally cars, performance cars, most of the time it's just seconds. You win by seconds, even milliseconds. You get. So such cars with front wheel drivetrains are not really good for competition. An example of this is Honda Civic. This is a very practical and fuel efficient sedan for people who are starting out. You can check the prices only online if you want to buy it. I don't have the specific yard I can recommend. The other thing is the base model of the Toyota RAV4. They're very popular crossover four-wheel drive for sitting driving. They're very nice. The other thing is now the rear wheel drive. In contrast to the previous sort of car, the drivetrain, the rear wheel drive power is sent to the rear wheels, improving acceleration and weight balance. It's often used for performance and sports cars because weight is balanced very well when the power is first distributed to it's sent to the rear wheels. It's easier, aerodynamic drag is reduced over time, and then by that you're able to improve efficiency. One of the main pros is that the weight distribution and handling, it's a very stable car. You see most of these performance cars, Porsche 911, most of them have their rear wheel drive, or even some of them even put their engine behind in the trunk or the boot. The advantage of this is that it allows for drifting and high performance because I've told you aerodynamic drag is reduced with this time. Weight balance, because the power to weight ratio, remember, power to weight ratio is optimal with this particular setup. One main disadvantage is that it has less traction when it comes to slippery roads. That is a bit self-explanatory. And then the thing, because it's more expensive to manufacture, so most of these cars you'll find them very expensive. The Toyota, the Audi, the not the Audi, sorry, the 911s, all those performance cars you see, to Subaru STI, they're a bit more expensive compared to your Toyotas, basically because of this parts expensive to manufacture. One example is a BMW M3. It's a high performance sports sedan and excellent for handling. I think, oh, sorry, I forgot the Ford Mustang. It's a famous muscle car powered with a rear wheel drive. You know the feel. These are expensive cars, not for starters, people who are starting out. And then the other thing, you'll now all wheel drive. All wheel drive. You've seen AWD behind most cars. You've seen it behind Subarus. You've seen it behind Mazda CX-5s. And you've seen it around, what do you call it? Even Audi Quattro. So, in this particular thing, power is automatically distributed to all wheels as needed. It's not like all power is distributed to the four wheels at the same time. If this wheel requires this amount of power, that is what it gets. This one requires power, this one it gets. It's typically found around SUVs, crossover SUVs, and performance sedans most of the time. So you'll find it around cars like the Subaru WRX. You'll find the Audi Quattro. Those are basically the two best drivetrains because they're very efficient. If it's not Quattro for Audi, it's Subaru's symmetrical. It's called symmetrical, yeah. It's a WRX. It's an AWD system. The main advantage of this is that it's the best for traction and stability in all weather conditions because power is transmitted to each wheel independently. It works well for high performance and rally cars because power distribution is very efficient at this time, so it's very good. The other drivetrain is a four-wheel drive system. You've seen in the Toyota, I think, you've seen the four-wheel drive system, sort of signage at the back. It's a manual selectable drivetrains mode for off-road driving. So you'll see most of your Toyota Fortuner, Toyota Land Cruisers. You'll see them with a four-wheel drive system. This is what we call 4x4, right? It's a manual sort of transmission is done by the driver is the one who shifts. Basically, we can say it's manual. It's found around trucks and serious off-road vehicles. As I've told you, those off-road vehicles, people who do overlanding, they have this. So, and it's excellent for rock climbing, deep snow, and mud. It's because you're the one manually controlling the car, shifting up, shifting down. It can be switched between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. Because you're the driver, you can easily switch from the two-wheel drive to the four-wheel drive. It's more expensive to maintain. These cars don't come cheap, as I've told you. An example is the Jeep Wrangler or the Land Cruiser. They're more expensive to maintain, and they're very poor. They're very poor fuel efficiency because of the kind of work they do, as you've seen, and most of them wear off. They have high maintenance costs and the likes. Now we've already talked about cars. Now let's delve into motorcycles. Motorcycles also have drivetrains, and they have three main drivetrains. They have chain drives, they have belt drive, and they have shaft drive. The most common drivetrain is this chain drive. That's the one you see most of the bikes with chains. So that's how power is generated for bikes. Motorcycles, that's what I'm talking about. Even bicycles, the chain. You get the chains the one that generate. So basically, a metal chain and sprockets transfer power from the engine to the rear wheel. Now it is for motorcycles, to the rear wheel, and then the rear wheel carries the D. Most is efficient and lightweight. It's the most efficient because this is a lightweight. My bike is like 1,000 cc. It's a light motorcycle. compared to cars. It's best for high performance motorcycles and easy to replace and modify. A chain, when it cuts, you can easily modify it. You can sort it out very easily compared to these other shafts that are inside to open up that whole thing. It's a bit difficult. So for this, it's easier for people. And it's mostly used by performance cars. So you'll see people with Kawasaki Ninja X650, you'll see people with the S1000RRs or the Yamaha R1s, the ones that you see on MotoGP. Most of them use chain drive because it's easy to sell out. It needs regular lubrication. That's one problem. That's one con of it. You have to lubricate this chain because if you don't, it might break. If it breaks when you're on a high speed, good luck saving your life. If you don't have some good riding gear, you're toast. It can get dirty and wear out faster, especially when you're redlining most of the times. That's another sort of demerit to it. Sort of okay. So as I've told you, let's go to belt drive. I wish I could show you how it looks, but it's basically a rubber belt with some sort of reinforced fibers that transfers power to the wheel. Some sort of a belt. You get it's a belt, and then that it's more durable than chain drive, regardless of, but requires less maintenance and requires less maintenance compared to the chain. With the chain, you have to check it all the time because it's in the open. Particles get into there. It might get dry if you don't lubricate it. It's quieter operation than a chain drive, and then it doesn't need lubrication because it's a chain. No, it's a chain like a rubber sort of. The main con is that it's less efficient compared to chain drive and expensive to replace. These chains come with a very high price. Examples of this are bikes that use a chain belt drive are the Harley Davidson Sportster. These are quite rare. That's why you see most of these bikes are rare. You can't really see them on a daily basis because it's expensive to buy and maintain these sort of drivetrain in bikes. It uses belt drive for smooth cruising, the Harley Davidson. Then the other one is the BMW F800 GT. It's a sports touring bike that uses belt drive. The last one for bikes is the shaft drive. A drive should transfer power through a differential system, common in touring motorcycles. The ones police use, those are Touareg. Requires almost no maintenance. Very smooth in power delivery, by the way. Those are the two main advantages. The disadvantages are it's heavy and expensive. A slight power loss and extra mechanical components due to extra mechanical power points. Yeah. Example of this bike is the R1250GS. It's a popular adventure bike. Yeah. The Honda Goldwing. It's also a very popular sort of thing. I think we'll discuss performance and drive choices. Sports cars, mostly as I've told you, they prefer rear-wheel drive for balance and handling. It's very efficient. Luxury cars have all-wheel drive systems. Luxury cars, I've told you, luxury sedans like the M3 or the Quattro or the Quattro for Audi and the symmetrical for Subaru, WRX or STI. For off-road, obviously they want the four-wheel drive system because of the ability to shift from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive, and because most of them operate in very rugged terrains. Examples, matchups, GTR, Chevrolet Camaro, rear-wheel drive. Helped launches and basically. The main things, I think that will be all for today. Thank you very much. If you're looking to buy a car, inspect the need for the car or the bike, inspect the costs, look at the costs, the purpose for the vehicle. You want it town drive? Do you want it for competition? Do you want it for off-road riding or off-road expeditions? So do your research and then make the right decision. Thank you very much. I encourage listeners to go to our Patreon, buy membership, and then you'll get some unlimited content on a daily basis. Thank you very much for today. That has been me by Chronicles.